We're going to get into updates on our weekend winter storm that could affect a lot of people in the Midwest and out towards the East Coast. An Arctic blast is taking over the East this weekend as well, and we will likely see some temperature records broken. And a warm-up is on the way for the East, but it may not last as long as some people think. It's December 12th, 2025. Let's get into the weather updates. We'll start off by taking a look at our current radar. We have some snow falling up here in Montana and western South Dakota. By the way, this is the system that we're going to watch move through the Midwest and out towards the East Coast this weekend, so let's pay attention to this. We've got some flash flood warnings up here in the Northwest. We've just had a barrage of moisture over the last week, and there's more on the way. We've also got some snow falling up here through portions of Minnesota, nothing too heavy, and then down here through central to southern Appalachia. Let's take a look at the next 6 days on our European model. We have our Clipper system up here that I just showed you on the radar, developing in the northern Rockies, northern plains. As we move forward in time, this is going to begin to make its way down, like I said, into the Midwest. And as this system pushes south and east, we're going to have a lot of cold air accompanying it. We're talking 30 to 40 degrees below average for most people, and we'll get into temperatures in a second here. Pushing into Saturday evening, Sunday morning, this is when the system approaches the coast, and this could actually be some pretty good snow rates here. The problem is it may be a very fast-moving system. So again, this is as we get into Sunday. This looks to mainly be a Sunday event for the East Coast and a Saturday event for the Midwest. And as the storm skirts off the coast, we also have some moisture developing down here. Lots of dry air and ridging out over the mountains out west. Pushing through Sunday into Monday, we have a lot of that lake effect snow activated. Again, as the system moves off the coast, tons of cold air moving over these much warmer lake waters. And we slowly start to see a little bit of warmth build across the country, starting to move through the plains, starting to push out east as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. And we really start to dry up from coast to coast. But if you look up in the Pacific Northwest, another storm system is making its way in. We're already having flooding problems up here. This is, like I said last video, going to be an issue. But other than that region, most of the country is dry. And pushing out through Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, for the most part, the plains out east is still staying dry. Some of this moisture in the Pacific Northwest begins to make its way down into the Rockies and then a little bit out towards the northern plains. This is going to be a little bit warm, so it's probably going to be rain as it pushes into the northern plains, but you could get some good snow up into portions of the northern and even possibly central Rockies. Now, taking a look at our weekend snow totals, you can see central Iowa, somewhere between 2 to 5 inches is definitely possible. South Dakota, you could have a swath of 3 to 5 inches. Moving into Illinois, much of the same. Chicago, maybe 1.5 inches, but then you get down towards central Illinois. Not impossible to get 5.5 inches in some locations, but really, again, just a swath of 3 to 5 inches, really pushing from South Dakota all the way out through Ohio. Now, we could start to see some bigger totals as we get a little bit farther out east. This low could be deepening. This trough could be trying to at least neutrally, if not negatively tilt, probably neutrally tilt. And so we could be getting some more energy in a deepening low, like I said, as we get out here. Bigger snow totals for the mountains. That's typical. You get this moisture stalling up over the mountain range. Now let's push a little bit farther out east. Here's where things get fun. Possibly our first snowstorm for the I-95 corridor. So right now, the latest Euro is thinking Boston, about 1 inch. New York City, 3 to 4 inches. I think this is all possible. Philly, about 4 inches. DC, 2. Baltimore, 3. You guys can see what's happening here. That Boston to DC I-95 corridor, we're really looking at somewhere between 2 to 5 inches if you're lucky here on the Euro. Pittsburgh, the Euro actually likes a good amount of snow out there, 6 inches, so that would be pretty nice for you. I almost forgot, you guys. I did want to pop over to the Great Lakes region. UP and Michigan could see some good snow up here, and then the west coast of Michigan here. We're seeing potentially somewhere between probably 3 to 6 inches of snow, and depending on some banding, obviously you could get some bigger totals, somewhere up to 9 inches. Now, the NWS, or National Weather Service, also has their snow totals released for this weekend, so let's quickly run through this. Montana, we've already got some snow falling up here, but there will be more good snow out here. Eastern Montana, we're talking about anywhere 3 to 9 inches depending on where you are. North Central Montana, obviously, that's the target right there, but still pushing out east, some pretty good low elevation snow for you guys. Now, this is pretty similar right here to what we saw on the Euro, South Dakota, Iowa, and Illinois. We're looking at somewhere between 2 to 5 inches, kind of central South Dakota, central Iowa, central Illinois, right through those states. Indiana as well. Now, as we get towards Indiana and Ohio, we could start seeing some bigger snow totals, just because, again, the low could be deepening a tiny bit. So Indianapolis, 5 inches is possible. Dayton, 5 to 6. Columbus, 5 inches. Cincinnati, 3 inches. Louisville, 1 inch is possible. Getting up there towards Cleveland, 6 inches up there towards Erie. 10 inches. And then, of course, you get into the mountains of West Virginia. And as you get higher with elevation, as you get into the mountains and some of these systems stall, you get some upward forcing. You can get a little bit more snow. So we'll say 6 to 8 inches locally in that region is definitely possible. We could also get some decent snow down here in southwestern Virginia and then potentially up here in northern Appalachia in northwestern North Carolina. Very similar with Michigan in the UP and western Michigan to the Euro, and then up here in upstate New York too. So what's going on right here along the coast? Also in pretty decent agreement. We're really seeing from Boston down to DC. That's the target. 1 to 3 inches likely, although there's a little area in here that they think could get a little bit more. You're seeing 4.5 inches potentially down here just to the northeast of Baltimore. Now, we're still far enough out where you could see this kind of main area right here where we're looking at that 3 to 5 inches. We could see it shift a little bit, but it's right now including Baltimore and Philadelphia. And then if you look up here towards Long Island, I've seen actually these snow totals go up a decent amount. 3 to 4 inches out in Long Island, that would be pretty nice for you guys. Right now we're thinking about 3 inches into New York City. So I'm going to show you the high end real quick. These are the snow totals the National Weather Service still thinks is possible. Taking a look up here, now from Boston down to DC, we're talking about the possibility of 5 to 8 inches of snow. It's possible if the storm develops the right way, tries to get a little bit of a negative tilt, kind of stalls in the right area, you could see a little bit more snow here. You could see these high end totals. Pittsburgh on the high end could have a great day. 10 inches, Ohio, 5 to 8 inches in there, maybe even 6 to 9 inches in there. Same thing with Indiana. You can see 4 to 9, maybe 4 to 10 inches across the state is possible. Getting into Illinois, you can see these snow totals all push up really by about 2 to 4 inches on the high end. So I like to show you guys the expected and high ends because, again, sometimes the high end totals are what we see. Here's our latest 6 to 14 day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. It's getting warm, but I'll show you something in a second. I don't think it's getting as warm as some people think. Moving into our 8 to 14 day, still warm across much of the country, just a little bit colder up here in the northern tier states. And then as we get into our 3 to 4 weeks, it looks like maybe our jet stream tries to collapse back down to the south. Precipitation wise, obviously a lot of moisture out there in the west, northwest over the next 6 to 10 days. Pretty dry in the south. A little bit of moisture wants to flow through the northern states, portions of the Midwest, and then up there through New England. Getting into the 8 to 14 day, much of the same with precipitation. And then out towards the 3 to 4 week, we're still kind of seeing this flow potentially through the Ohio Valley up towards the northeast, and then more precipitation up here in the northwest. Now, this again is just going to be an issue. We're expecting just a ton of moisture up here across the northwest, pretty much through the rest of December, and I'll kind of show you why. We have a lot of storm systems moving into the coast, a lot of energy up there in the northwest, but that's also pulling up a lot of cold air for us, which is why I don't think we're going to stay as warm as some people expect through December moving forward. This weekend, here we go, widespread 30 to 40 degrees below average for much of a southeast. I've talked about this in so many videos. I'm tired. I'm kind of getting tired of it, but this cold air is coming, guys. This is going to be freezing air. We're going to break some records with this. We really are going to break some records with this. You can see this pink area here. We're talking 30, 35 plus degrees below average. Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri. It's everywhere. It's spreading. These purples are 20 plus. So it's going to be a very, very cold weekend. Now we have some warm air moving in behind it. And originally models thought this warm air is going to stick around. Well, here's what's new. Now we get another burst of cold air. Okay, so now we're talking the 19th, 20th of December. So now instead of that being an extended warmth, it's a quick warmth, more cold air, another burst of cold air potentially for the mid-Atlantic. Now we're out towards the 22nd, 23rd. We are a little bit warmer though now in the plains. But again, this cold is still sticking around if you're talking about the East Coast. We're just kind of getting quick warm-ups and then cool air is moving back in. Now as we get out towards the 24th, 25th, do we get this kind of zonal flow where we have these above average temperatures down here in the southeastern plains with some cooler air out west, maybe cooler air up in New England? This could potentially happen. Although I want to show you guys something. If we push out here, there's so much cold air pooling up here in Canada, up here through Alaska, Western Canada. And if we go to our 500 millibar height anomaly, you can actually see the amount of energy that's going to be building up here in the Northwest, in Western Canada, consistently driving this cold air, driving all this moisture into the West. Now, I don't think that we're going to have some sort of massive ridge lock in as we approach Christmas and push through December. I think there's going to be multiple opportunities for some of this cold air and some of this kind of moisture, our jet to buckle back down into the east. You can actually see a negative NAO, kind of negative EPO setting up here, which is a good sign to get that cold air back into the east. Some people are saying blowtorch for the east for the rest of December. Doesn't really look like that. Again, we have those two pushes of cold air still, which leads us potentially into December 22nd, and then pushing out here towards December 25th, we're kind of falling into, like I said, this zonal flow, not this big big ridging out east. So as I said, that's going to give us the opportunity for that cold air to flip back out east. We can see our NAO mean pushing back down negative, wanting to at least trend negative here moving forwards. Our PNA trying to trend positive, another sign for some cold air potentially to move back into the east. Our EPO trending negative, our AO trending negative. So at least by the mean, none of this shouts blowtorch for the east through the rest of December. In January. It just doesn't. We get a brief warm up, we get a zonal flow, we get that cold air returning. I think our winter's just fine, and if we get lucky here, we're going to get one of those big punches of cold air again right before Christmas. We have that buildup in the northwest, and again, I don't see a strong ridge holding. And by the way, it doesn't hurt that our MJO wants to stay in a very cold phase for the central US out east all the way through January. I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I release videos like this every single day, and then after I post, I hop on to live stream. I've missed a few days of live streaming because of some technical issues, but I will be hopping on to live stream right after I post this today. If you want to join an awesome weather Discord with tons of updates and an awesome weather community, the link to my Discord is in the description of all my YouTube videos and YouTube lives. Again, I appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one or in the live stream.